Hello, hello. Good evening, everyone. How are you today? Good evening, everyone. My name again is Mommy Jackie, and I will be your customer service trainer. Today, we're going to have an introduction about customer service 101. That would be our customer service training module that would be offered by FH Mom starting this August. And let me start by sharing with you what are the things we're going to discuss today. So, of course, I think most of you don't really know me as much yet. So, I'm going to introduce myself a little bit further and share with you what's my experience in training, in customer service, and even in freelancing in general. Okay. So, anyway, we're also going to talk about what is a CSR, what does a CSR do, what are the tools, the skills, and everything else that you should need to know about the job. Okay. So I know a lot of you are very excited to actually learn more about customer service. It's a very good stepping stone if you want to start working from home or do freelancing. So let's start by sharing. I'll share with you first my own experience. Okay. So who is your trainer? I'm Mommy Jackie. I'm at your service, as I've always been saying. It's funny that years back when I was in the BPO industry, I was really called Mommy Jackie. So it's not something really new. And I'm really happy that even with FH moms, I'm also called Mommy Jackie. Now, I treat my previous trainees like my kids. So I'm really excited to have more kids, so to speak, as trainees. And hopefully, along the way, we learn from each other. I can train you, and you will also be training me. Now, I'm a solo parent. I have a no, not 1 year old, an 18-year-old son who is actually now working from home as well. He is now working as a list builder, and he has another side gig with my sister's small business. And just on the background about freelancing, I also have an aunt. I live with an aunt who's actually working from home as a work from home accountant too. I won't reveal her age anymore because I think she's listening, but she's a senior citizen already. So that said, it basically what I'm trying to say is that even in my family, it's very much proven that despite of the age, whether you're young or old or working or whatever your circumstances are, you can actually start working from home. Um, I don't know if I'm supposed to speak in English the whole time, but normally if you work as a customer service representative, you would have to really speak in English all the time. But during the training, I'll already give you a disclaimer. If you're not comfortable with it, you have to let me know because, like a doctor, my main goal is for you to really learn more. So I hope you can be open with me. You have to let me know if you want me to speak in Filipino along the way. I'd really appreciate that. Okay. Just put it in the comments. And also, if it's your first time to listen or to watch a live from FH Moms, I would appreciate to get some feedback from you as well. Okay. Now, anyway, so much about my on the personal side of me. Let's talk about my customer service background. I started as an inbound customer service and inbound sales associate back in September 2004. That was the time when the boom of the BPO industry happened. It was mostly just call centers at that time. And I was a fresh grad, a solo parent, and at that time, since it was the booming industry, although I had a degree in chemistry, I wasn't licensed yet by that time. So I opted to go for a more high paying job, which is basically being a call center agent. So, as a call center agent or an inbound customer service and sales associate, I've handled different accounts from telecoms. I handled also computer sales, and I've also handled healthcare. Now, I was blessed to have had the chance to be promoted as a trainer in January 2006. And then from then on, I've been handling different types of training for different aspects of the BPO industry, from basic skills, process, leadership, coaching. Part of my experience, I was actually a client trainer for one of a known client. I won't really reveal. Maybe in the future webinars, I can disclose which company is that. So I was a direct hire for one of the known client here in the Philippines. Um, funny, that client, that company was actually also a client of mine in one of my previous jobs. Okay. And in February 2012, that's when I started working with a day job as a training manager. And then eventually it progressed into Salesforce effectiveness, where I focused more on direct selling and pharmaceuticals. So I placed there present because I actually have a current, I have a corporate job. In fact, earlier today, I reported for work. So after a day of work, I had to go home and do this live session. And so that being said, it means that even if you have a work from home, or no, if even if you have a current corporate job, or if you're still working now, if you really want it so bad to work from home, it is possible. And I'll share more about it later on. Okay. So anyway, let's go on to my freelancing experience this time. Now, I started seeking freelancing as an opportunity, more of a stress reliever from a previous corporate job. It was not really an easy thing for me to do every time I have to report to the president and stuff like that. So it was kind of stressful. So my freelancing journey, so to speak, started as a stress reliever. And I was blessed enough to actually be to have been accepted to two commission-based jobs, and I placed there the exact title I had that time. One was for an experienced sales and marketing agent, and then the other one is an outbound call representative. And what I would normally do by that time, I was a trainer also, so I would do training sometimes during the day. By the time I get home, I would make calls. And for the experienced sales and marketing agent, it didn't involve calls. It was more of email marketing involved. So it was more of like email CSR. Okay. But what I really liked about these two job opportunities is that it opened up my eyes in terms of the vast opportunities that are out there in terms of working from home and freelancing, which made me realize that I hope, well, I hope actually that back when my son was really, little, I hope there was already an opportunity like this. I learned about this sometime in 2017. My son was already 15 years old, so he was in his teenage years. So with one of my clients where I was hired as an outbound call representative, I asked my client by that time, since I have training background, if I can try being a trainer. Actually, I asked first to be a data analyst because I do data analysis also with my corporate job. But then when she saw my resume, she figured out I would be a better fit for training. So I was offered a corporate trainer role, and this was a freelance role. I was paid per hour. Now, along the way, I've tried several types of work from home or freelancing gigs. I've tried being a ghostwriter for a Christian ebook. There was also an inspirational speaker who got me as a ghostwriter for her training module. And then I also did some, since my forte is training, I was more of a freelance training materials designer. I also got accepted as an online chemistry tutor, but it was kind of stressful because by profession I'm a registered chemist. But I think it's been a long time since I've had the foundations of chemistry. So it's being an online chemistry tutor, you use a system where you're given only like about, I think it was like about 3 minutes to solve a chemistry problem. So I didn't pursue that because as I've been mentioning earlier, I was still working. And then I've also I didn't put it here, but in 2018, March 2018, okay, to be specific, there were several changes in the company I was working with, and eventually I got retrenched. So technically, I didn't have a job, a corporate job, but good thing that because I started doing freelancing, I had another side job that was I was able to pursue. So part of that, I also tried online English teaching. The last position I've had was a data operations annotator. But during that time, this was my first full-time job that I got from freelancing or working from home. And it's quite ironic that I got a call for a corporate job. So I was kind of asking, Lord, where would you really be placing me? Do you want me to stay working from home, or do you want me to go back to the corporate world? Okay, so eventually I tried working two full-time jobs, but my health was compromised. So I had to give up the work from home because my current corporate job is paying more than what I was getting working from home. But as a blessing, when we had this quarantine period, I was really blessed, very, very blessed to have had a chance to see the opening for the customer service trainer of FH Moms, which is basically, since I've tried several jobs working from home, I realized that though I can make them or I can do these things, I'm not really as happy. My heart really is in training. So I'm really, really happy that now I finally have a job where I can give back the skills. I'm really thankful to the BPO industry. They gave me a chance to hone my skills. And at the same time, I think this is the time for me to pay back. Okay, to pay back and hopefully empower and inspire other moms like me, maybe solo parents as well, who would be able to not just, I understand the struggles of the need to work at the same time have enough time um, for your kids. I am very fortunate. I have a family who's able to support me despite not having enough time for my son. But no regrets, because I think over the years it made me a better trainer. Okay. Now, to be a better freelancer, I've tried learning different skills. So these are things that I'm actually doing, but I'm not getting paid. But somehow I would encourage also some of you to learn about it. When you apply for a work from home, it's important for you to have like a good portfolio. So you have like a lot of skills that you can offer. So if you notice, I've indicated here some of the things that I've been doing for my own personal consumption. Like I have a website of my own. I do graphics design. I tried vlogging as well. Um, I tried social media management and marketing, and I'm very happy with how the quarantine actually basically it was like a reroute for me, a detour for me. It gave me a chance to go back to working from home and freelancing. Okay, so I placed here a note that to be a freelancer, it's important for you to know what skills you can offer to your clients. So as of now, I would suggest that you run an inventory of your skills and talents. And so you would know what can you offer to your clients. Okay, now in the event that let's say you've had your own inventory and then somehow you felt like you're not really at par with what your clients might need, that's where the training would come in very handy. Now, like what I was thinking earlier, just like giving birth, there are birth pains in working from home and even in customer service. It doesn't necessarily mean that you will learn everything overnight. Okay. Something I've learned over the years in training is that sometimes we are so hard on ourselves. We somehow envy other people because they speak really 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 good. They're able to land a job right away. But if you're able to face those setbacks or whatever problems that you think you consider as challenges, that's okay. That's the first step. After that, you need to move on and do something about it. And that's where the training would actually come in handy. Okay. So now, let's go to and I think you've read some of this. So yes, I'm a Jackie of all trades. I do a lot of things, but I'm not really shy to admit that I'm already 40 years old. So I've learned over the years that sometimes, even though I have a lot of things I want to do, I had to narrow down some of the things that I'm doing with what I'm really enjoying and what are productive as well. So I'm really looking forward to, somehow sharing whatever I have, because that's what I've learned somehow. I've experienced midlife crisis, and I realized whatever we learn in this world is not ours. It's just meant to be shared to other people. Okay? So, I know some of you were not able to attend the introduction to customer service, so I'll just go through some of the topics I've discussed last time. And we've said before that, as defined, customer service is the provision of service to customers. And this is a breakthrough idea that I somehow learned. It is involved in the before, during, and after a purchase. Okay. And this is a very basic definition. In fact, this is just coming from Wikipedia. Okay. But you have to understand that customer service is not just merely about dealing with actual customers who buy. Okay. Since we're talking about the before, during, and after, that means that even if they're not yet your customers, okay, you have to provide the service. Like every time, um, let's say they just inquired about something, okay? Typical of us, like when you need to buy something from the mall, sometimes you're not really decided to buy something yet, right? But because of the good customer service, eventually you get persuaded to buy whatever. Okay, sometimes you don't even need it. Okay, now, but I'd like to challenge you. When you land a customer service professional job, it is important, I think, that you somehow know exactly what your customers need, so that's not really hard sell. That way your customer would keep on coming back. Okay, and it says here, we need to adjust based on the personality of our guests. So hopefully, what part of my plan in terms of customer service is for you to somehow, we'll go through what we call the this personality training. That's the latter part. It's not really part of customer service, but I depending on our flow, I can share that, because it's good customer service would really depend on how well you understood your customers. It's not about you. Oh, that's drama. It's not about you. It's about me. No, it's not about me. It's about your customers. It is about your clients. Okay. So we don't forget this basic definition of customer service. Now, we've also said that for any customer service professional job, whatever your title is, for a customer, when they call you, when they email you, whatever they ask you to do, or whatever they chat, they may probably send a private message for you, because you can be a social media manager at the same time a customer service representative, right? And basically, it means that you are the company. You represent everything about the company, from the mission, the vision, the values. So how you treat your customer will definitely give them a bigger picture of what the company is all about. So if you give them the poorest of poor service, then that means they won't be coming back, because they would, even if you have the best products, but you have really bad customer service, they won't buy, right? Even if in fact, there are some companies, even if they have not so good customers, they have no, not customers, they don't really have the best of products, but because they have really good customer service, people still buy from them, right? And I guess it even for you, when you think about it, not all of your purchases are bought from the top of the line type of companies, but somehow, okay, somehow you still buy from them, because there's just something about the way you're being treated. You're treated as if you're the CEO actually of the company. So again, it doesn't matter to your customer whether you're the CEO, if it's your first day on the job, and I know you're kind of jittery about it, you are the company when they call, when they email you. Okay? And it's important that you understand you only have, and you may only have, one chance. So whether you're going to impress them, or whether you're going to end up frustrating them, that will be totally up to you. As they say, there's a power of one. Okay? So you have a choice. And I'd like to think you always would have a choice, no matter how irate, no matter how frustrated a customer will be. It doesn't mean you have the right to be irate or frustrated with the customer as well. You have to be, remember, you're representing the company, and you are representing your client. Okay? What you say is like what your customer or your client, or no, what your clients are actually saying as well, or what the company is saying to your customer. So I remember, you are the link between the customer and your client. Okay. Now, we've talked. Well, it's okay. We understand that there are different factors you need to consider. This is part of the introduction that we've talked about the last time, but it's okay. These are the things that you should have when you get involved in a customer service professional job. Okay, and among these five factors, friendliness, good correspondence manners, vocal qualities, willingness to help and assist, these are all in a way automatically required from you when you apply for a job. Okay. Number five, knowledge and competency may not necessarily be ready yet, but over a period of time, for sure you will learn it. In fact, well, as far as I know, every customer service job I've had, we've had enough training. So you will have enough product knowledge. You will also need somehow understand some technical skills that would be required of the job. Okay, but friendliness, willingness to help, I would really like to emphasize on these things. These are things that you can't really teach someone. I think it's something that's innate. You really have to love your customers or your clients to last in a customer service professional job. The thing is, even if if you know the almanac of customer service, but you're rude to your customers, you cannot really last in a customer service job. Okay, so I hope that if you can smile, if you're friendly, if you're willing to help other people, then you're good to go. The others, we can learn that, and that's why we have training. Okay, so let's proceed. And we've classified the things that you need to learn into two things, which is basically the skill and the will. Okay. It's funny how people think it's all about just the skills and knowledge. It's all about the training that you get. But you know what I've learned somehow in training? It's more important to also focus on the right mindset and attitude. Because sometimes you already know what to do. But when the customer is rude, and somehow you don't have the right mindset, you don't have the right attitude, your tendency might be you might end up fighting fire with fire, which is not going to work for you in customer service. So the right mindset will also be part of what we're going to learn in the training. Okay, so we've also talked about how important every feedback counts, no matter how negative it is. In fact, I've been saying this even to my previous trainees before, that I love negative feedback. Okay, why? Because negative feedback will somehow give you an idea where you need to work on. Okay, and without negative feedback, then you just chill. A lot of companies didn't really improve their services and end up dying, right? And it's all because nobody gave them the negative feedback they need. So that said, it's important that we get every feedback from our customers, and that's why you're also there. Like, you wouldn't really know if there's something wrong with some of the phone lines, or there's something wrong with the bills that they're sending, if nobody told you about it, right? If nobody called in. Okay, so every feedback counts. Now, let's talk about the job itself. So I know you've probably been seeing a lot of CSR, customer service roles. Let's simplify what it means. So sometimes the title is not exactly customer service representative. Sometimes you would see there like technical service representative, technical support, customer service advisors. I remember the first title I had was inbound customer service associate. Okay, it sounds cool, right? Anyway, so it says here that you're about to interact with customers to handle complaints, process orders, and provide information about an organization's products and services. Whether the customer is already a buying customer, an inquiring customer, or a frustrated customer. It's funny, but sometimes it's hard to do that when you end up with an irate caller, because part of the call flow, you still have to ask the customer, is there anything else I can help you with? Or you're going to end up offering another service, even if they're not really happy with the service that the company has been providing. Okay, so part of the qualifications that you need to have, aside from the factors I've mentioned earlier, is that you need to have good communication, problem solving, and computer skills. Okay, because especially that you're going to be using, or you're going to be a virtual CSR, whether you like it or not, you'd have to use a computer. You have to use either a laptop or a desktop. So you have to somehow know how to navigate. Okay, multitasking would also be required if you are a CSR. Some people think it's just all about talking, 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 and endless talking, but it's not really just that. There's more to it. But you don't have to be intimidated with it. Like what I've been saying earlier, just like giving birth, there will be birth pains for sure. But eventually, some of us learn how to be a mom, right? So I guess it's also the same thing with being a CSR. There would be birth pains, but if you really like it and you're willing to really learn, you will be good at it. Okay? So, what does a CSR do? Okay, I only placed this one, first call resolution. I'd like to think that you'd have to do anything under the sun to give the customer what we call first call resolution. Your goal is basically to solve what's the customer's problem. Okay. Now, sometimes these problems and needs, they don't really know it. So you'd have to ask a lot of questions. But at the end of the call, our idea is to give them the right answer, the right resolution. Okay, whether it be that they need to purchase something, they need to revise an order, you need to tweak something about their order or whatever, that's our goal. Now, I understand that sometimes we can't really resolve a customer's concern just one time. It makes me recall how sometimes when you have a problem with your phone line, right, and then you call into customer service and the problem still exists all the time, it's quite frustrating, right? Now, our job is not to be like that. Our job is hopefully they won't call back again with the same problem. Hopefully, they come back and call us because they have another problem which they want us to solve, and would mean we may probably be able to upsell something for them, making them happier. Okay, or maybe making them upgrade their services because they're really happy about what they're getting from us. Okay, so I sum it up with this one, first call resolution. Remember what I told you earlier about the power of one. You only have one chance, so you never really know if when you get a customer, if that's the first or the last chance that you would ever talk to that customer. Okay, so if it's the first and only chance that you would talk to a customer, then you might as well make the most out of it, right? Just like you. Sometimes the best measure of being a good CSR is putting yourself in the customer's shoes or empathize with them. Like if I was the customer, how would I feel? What should I expect from the CSR? That's why a lot of CSRs, when they become a CSR, they end up being very patient. So some people who are usually impatient when they land a job that's customer service related, they end up being very patient. Okay. Now, what are the common and the basic tools that I'll be sharing with you? These are just some of the tools. I know there's more, but please be reminded that most of these tools actually are provided usually by the client. So you don't really have to worry about it. I'm sharing with you some of the tools that I've actually used as a CSR when I landed a job. Remember what I told you earlier? That I landed a job as an outbound call representative. Okay. So we were given logins. Everything was taken care of by the client. Now, some of the other apps that I placed here are like Time, Doctor. They're more of for tracking your time. Okay, like Hubstuff. You also have messenger apps. Personally, we've used for the outbound call, we've used Bitrix 24 as a CRM. I've used Leads, Rain, and Grasshopper. Grasshopper is like a dialer, okay? And same thing with Leads, Rain. It's like a call, how do you call that? It's a call system. It's provided by the customer, okay? So everything is provided usually by the customer, so you don't have to worry about it. But I would suggest, especially for those who are going to enroll in the customer service track, or anyone who's actually involved or enrolled currently with FH Moms, you already have access to Slack. I'd suggest that you try to learn more about that, because pretty much some of the CRM applications that you would have to use, they usually have the same functionality. They usually have the same terms, same function. So it would be helpful if somehow you know a little bit about these things, like even Skype. Okay, Skype can also be used for dialing. Okay, from one client to another, the application may change. That's why I didn't really put in as much here. The others would be more of time or tracking devices or tracking apps, more of, because some of you are gonna get paid per hour. Some are apps that would be used for your interviews, okay? And somehow those interviews would also measure how technically adept you are. Like if you're able to navigate through the system. Because sometimes you might have the head knowledge, you know how to handle a customer, you're good with speaking and everything, but if you don't know how to navigate your computer, that would be a big problem. Okay? So you should try to play around. Okay? Now, what are the skills needed to be a CSR? I hope if you have any questions, please make sure you write it down in the comment. Okay. Now, so what are the skills needed to be a CSR? We've talked about the factors earlier, right? Pretty much these are the same skills we will be focusing more, or at least we're going to expound on these skills. Okay. Um, and I'll discuss later on what would be part of our topic for customer service 101. Specifically, I'd like to think that a lot of you would really like to improve the vocal quality part. Am I right? Because I remember the first time I posted about what is customer service before, some got intimidated because everybody all of a sudden was speaking in English, right? You don't have to be intimidated. I'm telling you right now. Okay, it's all about the will. Remember, I said earlier, skill and will. Once you have the skill, you also have to have the will. Okay, so even if you don't have the skill, if you have the will, definitely. I've proven it many times. Okay, a number of times. Some people were almost about to give up because they're having a problem speaking with customers, but with because they have the will, they have the need to provide for their family, they chose to stay. And I'm quite surprised this time. I have a lot of trainees. Sometimes they get back with me, and then it's really quite flattering every time you see that there's a big improvement in them. Okay, so if it happened to them, I think it's not far from happening for you too, right? So it's just all about learning and being willing to help, willing to learn. Okay. So what else do I need to know about working as a CSR? These are just some of the things that I've included here. Job hunting sites are pretty much the same. You have your online jobs, you have your Upwork. Sometimes I also see CSR posts in different Facebook groups. FH Moms also sometimes would post some of these Facebook ads. No, not ads. Job ads. Okay. Salary rate. Some for starters. There are some who actually start with a $3 per hour rate. But for some with a little bit of experience, some of them I've seen like $800 a month. On in terms of the work hours, okay, the work hours, since most of your clients would be probably US clients, most of them would be graveyard shifts. Okay, but sometimes if you land a job with an Australian client would be a day job. It's a little bit earlier than the Filipino time, usually about 6 a.m. to 3 p.m., something around that range. And then if you land a UK client, that's mid shift. Usually that starts about 3 p.m. to 12 midnight. Okay. So, but basically the skills are almost the same. Maybe it's just the accent part, but we'll talk about the accent part a little bit later. Okay. Modes of payment may vary depending on the client. Some of them pay directly to your bank. Sometimes it can be like through PayPal. If you got your client through Upwork, then you get paid through Upwork, and like the most freelancing jobs. Okay. So there. Tell me if I'm going too fast because I have a tendency to talk too fast. Okay. So basically, what else do you need to know? You need to establish that the customer is the focal point for partnering change, partnering for resolution. Okay. You can't deny that the customer has a problem. Sometimes I know it can be a very big challenge every time a customer calls in and they have a problem, right? But if you will deny it, then you won't be able to solve it. Pretty much like in your personal life, right? When you have a problem and you keep on denying it, it never gets solved. Okay? So, you bottom line is, as a customer service representative, you need to understand, and I placed here two things: your client and your customer's pain. Now, the answer to your customer or your client's pain should be you. You should be the best customer service rep there is. How do you do that? Just a background. Actually, someone from the previous webinar messaged me earlier, and she was asking me, her name is Alma. Am I right? Yeah. She messaged me earlier. She asked me because she's looking for, I think she was applying for a certain job. And, she was asked to answer a question as part of the screening process. And initially she was asking me how to answer it and things like that, and then eventually when I told her maybe that client has a website, so you can understand more from the customer or the client's perspective, and somehow she realized that the question of the customer made more sense when she understood where the client was coming from, because when she it was something about gardening, okay, and when she visited the website, it was actually a hydroponic selling business, okay, so she had to marry that. So in this case, every time you apply for a job, okay, or every time you get a customer calling in, you have to know where is the customer coming from. Where is that pain coming from? Now, pain doesn't necessarily have to be really, really painful, okay? It may be, shallow kind of pain. Like, I have a problem with my bill. It can be as simple as that. Or it's as simple as, I don't know how to let me see. I don't know how to pay for my bill. It can be as simple as that. It can even be a very innocent concern, but for a customer it can be a pain. Remember, the customer actually took time to call you. Some of them would end up like calling you for, maybe they had to wait for about an hour or so before they finally get to talk to you. So there must be something about that call. They really want to talk to someone, okay? And somehow you have to be the answer to that pain, okay? Now let's move on to the next part. My question is, and probably some of you are asking yourself, can I be a CSR? Of course, I can't hear you. Okay, maybe you can write it down in the comment section and say, yes, I can. I want to be a CSR. Or maybe some of you are doubting if you can do it. Now, here's my challenge to you. Okay? How badly do you want it? Sabi nga sa Tagalog, pag gusto may paraan. Pag ayaw, may dahilan. Okay? Now, and I've proven this a number of times. Of course, with God's grace, of course, I would always say that. He would always pave the way if you want to get a job, okay? But if you really want it so bad, I understand the pain of most of you as moms. I wish, actually, I wish that I knew this back when I was just starting out, because I missed out a lot of, I would say, events in my son's life, just because I'm a solo parent, as I've mentioned earlier. So I would sometimes have training classes on a day where my son gets recognized for something I kind of regret somehow, but I can't do anything about it now, right? So I'll throw back the question to you. Can you be a CSR? The answer really is, how badly do you want it? If you want to be one, no matter how, sabi nga sa Tagalog, bali-baliko ang ating English, 'di ba? If you really want it so bad, then you will try to learn as much as you can and get yourself at par with everybody else. We were all born not having enough skills. Meron ba sa inyo pinanganak na magaling na mag-English agad-agad? We didn't even know our ABCs then, right? So we had to learn it, which means that you can learn it, okay? Oh, this is a good thing, especially with those moms who have small kids. You can actually learn English, communication skills, and customer service skills along with your kids. So they get to learn English the way you also learn English, okay? That was actually a good bonding moment for me also with my son before, since I was starting out as a customer service rep back then. Okay. So what will I expect from Customer Service 101? That's the title I've given for our customer service training. This would be the basic skills training for customer service representatives. Um, First, we would like you to learn or improve your listening and communication skills. You have to take note, it's not just about the communication part. I've had some trainees who are able to learn, American accent and all that. They have perfect grammar, but somehow they have poor listening skills. Communication is a two-way thing. You have to understand what your customers are saying. So if you don't know how to listen to customers with I would say a rather different a different accent, you'll have a hard time communicating with your customers too. So it's important that when you land a job as a customer service representative, somehow you have an idea what are the usual accents in that area. Like if you're going to, for example, I've had a an account before where most of the calls that we're getting were coming from the southern part of the US. They have a very different accent compared to those who are coming from, let's say, New York, Eastern accent. Okay, so there are different accents depending on the different parts of the world. I would say, not just the U.S. So you have to understand that it's your goal is not just to learn the accent, but to learn how to listen to your customer. Okay. And then, of course, we're going to learn about how your different types of customers and how to handle them. There are different ways to handle each type of customer. So we're going to discuss all of them. We're going to learn also about the call flow from the opening, closing, even the transfer and hold and advising skills. Okay. Now, some of the topics also that would be included would be language proficiency. Now, language proficiency would be across different topics. That would also include accent neutralization, grammar. We'll talk about a little bit about idioms too. Culture and geography will include a little bit of. I know most of the part about U.S. culture and geography, but we'll include also a little bit about UK and UK and Australian. Okay. Because remember what I said earlier that when we talk about customer service, it's important for you to understand your customers, right? Now, let's face it, Filipinos are different from US customers. They have a different set of needs, which to me was a really big adjustment on my end. To share with you, for example, the first account I've had was a telecoms company. Here in the Philippines, when you have a problem with your phone line, you call, let's say, in our case, our provider is PLDT. Okay, I'm not advertising, okay? So you call them and they will be dispatching a tech support, right? And they'll fix your line, they'll replace whatever they need to replace, and it's all for free. Am I right? Okay. But when I got in that account, somehow we had to sell what we call inside wire insurance, which didn't make sense to me at that time. Why would someone buy? I forgot how much it was. I think it was about $4 per month. Okay. At that time, I felt like, why would someone even buy um, inside wire insurance? Meaning, if something goes wrong with my phone line, with my internet connection, dispatching a technical support representative would be free. Okay, why would I pay $4 for that when here in the Philippines it's free, right? But then when I realized, I had one caller who told me that after 5 years of paying, when she finally decided to stop, something went wrong and they had to dispatch a technical support representative. And you know what? It cost her $220 just for that. Okay? So when I understood where the customer was coming from, then on, every customers I had to make sure if I can upsell that inside wire insurance, then I would, because I'll be saving them money. Something that we won't understand as Filipinos. In fact, I've had customers calling in and they would say, hey, you know what? You don't have to worry about anything because I have a neighbor who happens to be a Filipino. We're Filipinos, we're used to, solving as much as we can. Even if something is already replaceable, we try to make the most out of it, right? So anyway, so you have to know the culture and geography, not everything about it. This is not geography class or culture class, okay? But you have to somehow learn something about them so you understand where they're coming from. So you understand also why do they spend so much on this kind of service that you're supposed to offer. We have a different perspective and you have to understand theirs, okay? Next would be effective and active listening skills. Like what I mentioned earlier, it's important not just to be able to talk to them, okay? You have to also listen effectively, okay? We have a hard time with that because sometimes some of them actually end up talking too fast, right? And of course, different customer service skills, which we'll discuss later on. And then again, basic call flow. We'll also talk a little bit about sales ability training because for the most part, some of you would be required not just to solve the problem of the customers, but at the end of each call, you'll be asked, would you like to purchase this, and that? Or is there anything else that you would like to avail of? Something like that. Okay, so you'll be asked to somehow upsell something. Okay, and we'll talk about quality assurance and evaluation measures. So, I don't know if you tried calling in any customer service line, but usually when you call into a customer service line, they would say like the call may be recorded for quality assurance purposes and stuff like that. That will also be applied most probably with you because somehow service levels would have to be measured in these types of jobs. You can't just accept calls and continue being rude. Somebody has to somehow, somebody has to call that out. Either you improve on that or I'm sorry, but maybe customer service is not for you. Okay. So there are measures that you need to somehow be aware of. Okay. Now, speaking of accent, so some people find it very intimidating to learn about American accent, okay? But, what we're going to talk about is not really the usual American accent. We're going to talk about standard American English. Usually this is referred to as the broadcast network standard. If you try to listen to most, I would say, news channel, whether it's in Europe, whether it's in the US, in the Philippines, try to listen to how they speak, okay? Usually they almost sound the same, right? It's not exactly the American accent part, but it's clear enough. And that's our goal. Because remember, your goal is really to be able to communicate with your customers, right? It's not about how, slang you sound, okay? You can sometimes do that, but that's not really the goal. Your goal is to convey the message to them in such a manner that it's just clear, okay? So part of it would be, as I've said, it would be a neutral accent, something that's more, I would say, acceptable to most native speakers. Okay, and hopefully you will be most comfortable also with it with that kind of accent. So it doesn't have to be um, American accent English. Okay, it can be just a neutral accent as long as your vowel sounds, your consonant sounds, they're all clear. So we're going to dissect all of these sounds from what's the usual Filipino vowel sounds, because believe it or not, they have a lot of vowel sounds. Filipinos have only five, right? A, E, I, O, U. And that's where we usually have a problem, okay? Because they have a lot of these vowel sounds aside from their consonant sounds too. So we'll talk about those things. And for sure, with practice, you will learn that, okay? Aside from, of course, training, okay? So part of accent that we're going to learn, we're going to talk about three basic things. Intonation, which is basically speech music. Intonation is basically like when you talk to someone, there's a difference when you say, what is accent? No, it's monotonous, right? No life at all. Now your goal is to be conversational with the customer. Now if you talk, let's say, this is a typical example. An intonation would be, and some people would sound this way. It's a sing-songy type of intonation. Like you would sound like, good morning. And this is something we've learned, right? We've learned this in, I think, grade school. Like when you greet your teacher, you would say, good morning, teacher. Now imagine if you have to open your call and say, um, I can't even do it. We say, Thank you for calling FH Moms. Doesn't sound right, right? It doesn't even sound um, natural. Okay, so we're going to talk about the intonation part. So you sound way better. So you sound more of like, "Thank you for calling FH Moms. How may I help you?" Okay, so you play around with those the intonation part. And of course, to have a better accent, you need to go through pronunciation practices. So we'll make sure that we call it your articulators, okay? Everything that's here, your teeth, your tongue, your lips, everything in here is involved in making a sound. So you need to know where you need to improve on. Okay, so we're going to talk about those things. And to finally, make it sound better, we're going to talk about what we call liaisons. Liaisons are basically word connections. Like sometimes you hear them say, uh, uh, wait, let me see. I can't think of I'm a instead of I'm a. When we read I'm a, right? Usually we read it as is. I'm a because we were taught to read something word per word, sound by sound. But for them, they usually connect words together. And that is really helpful also when it comes to listening properly. Okay? Because if you didn't know that the words are actually connected, you'd have a hard time, understanding the customers, right? Okay, so these are some of the common Filipino errors, and I think some of you are familiar with it. So we'll go through those things like for a while. The better way of saying that would be one moment, please. Did you drink your medicine? Because that's a direct translation from Filipino. Uminom ka na ba ng gamot mo? Right? But the better way of saying that would be to take your medicine and so on and so forth. So we'll go through some of these common Filipino errors, even in the pronunciation part. And I hope you won't really feel bad about it. Treat me as your mom. So if let's say during the training, I see that there's a problem, let's say with your vowel sounds, I think we'll be helping out each other. You're going to learn from me. I will also learn from you, so I would know how to better help you improve your skills. Okay, so these are the different types of customers you have. In the top of the list is the irate customer or the irate caller. Okay, sometimes you also get, especially for foreign clients, we are very sensitive about this one, the swearing customer, so you have to know how to handle them. And because, like for example, even in UK and Australia, I think everywhere around the world, people will have different foreign accents actually. So you have to know how to handle every one of them. Like if you talk to an Indian, for example, who lives in the US, they talk too fast. Okay, so you have to know them. And sometimes you also get what we call a confused caller, someone who doesn't really know why did he even call in the first place. Okay, and you also have customers who are considered either a non-talker or the talker. The non-talker basically doesn't say much. The talker talks so much. So you don't end up, solving the problem or asking the right questions. And part of the measurement that you most probably would have is what we call average handling time. You'll be timed every time you get a call because you can't really you can't have a forever conversation with your customers. Okay, you have to somehow remember, our goal is first call resolution. You can't really solve anything if you end up just talking about personal stuff. That's not part of your goal. Okay, now in terms of the sales ability part, we'll just browse through this part. I know it's quite overwhelming when you see the different steps and everything, but we'll go through all of these things so you have an idea how it goes. Like from pre-call to opening, especially if you end up with an outbound customer service call. So we'll go through these things, and hopefully everything gets to be perfect until the closing. But of course, we're also going to discuss about handling objections. Okay, what if the customer didn't really buy what you were saying, right? They didn't really want to buy anything from you. What would you do? Okay, or they have reservations about what you're offering to them. So we're going to talk about that too. And the goal is we're going to talk about the adoption stage, customer product adoption stages as well of our customers. Our goal is basically to make each of our customers be on the adoption level, meaning they will use our product regularly or subscribe to our product regularly. But of course, everyone starts with, it's not even shown here. The first stage is unawareness. They don't know anything about your company. Same thing with you, okay? With your client, you go actually through this phase as well. So initially, they don't know you. They are unaware of your services. They are unaware of your existence, so to speak. But eventually, you want to be at the adoption level where they would hire you. So sometimes they would try, right? They would have a trial activity with you or something, okay? But eventually you want them to adopt you, okay? And you become a regular provider for them, customer service provider for them. And of course, for you, your goal, just like it says there, you move the customer in the quickest possible time. You want to get hired as soon as possible. Am I right? Of course, you want to get paid as soon as possible too. Okay? So, with that said, I know I said a lot of things, okay? But, and this is a very famous line every time you end a call, is there anything else I can help you with? So, this time it's time for some questions. Maybe you have some questions you want to throw at me, okay? I try to be as animated as I could. Pretty much, this is how you're going to do it when you talk to your customers. Of course, if you have a very serious, low key, slow speaker type of customer, then you'd have to adjust with the customer and, slow down a bit. Okay. Any questions? Nobody's asking a question. Anyone? Hello? Oh, thank you. If I'm inspiring you, um, uh, yes, that's true. Good customer service makes a happy customer. Oh, you're a solo parent, Mommy Venus, right? And you're a CSR from the BPO. I would say the industry, the freelancing and the work from home industry is just too generous now. I hope it was like that years back. Like what I told you earlier, I've missed out a lot of, I would say, a lot of, um, hmm, precious moments with my son. I'm kind of catching up. And I guess that's why I appreciate the freelancing opportunity here with FH Moms too. It's also a payback thing for me. Any questions? Anyone who wants to ask questions? Pwede pong mag-Tagalog. Nag-English lang ako for the sake of the training. A lot of our clients actually, they're kind of surprised, okay, because Filipinos are like an on and off switch, okay? They find it weird that we are able to do that. So you can do that. Okay, somebody says here, "Hi, Mommy Jackie. Problema ko, bulol ako sa letter S. Sa letter S ko, STH, may chance kaya ako maging CSR." Yes. Okay. You know what? It's a good thing in the first place that you already know where you need to work on. That's the first thing. Parang it's like when you're a doctor, right? You diagnose where the doctor needs to work up on you. So when you know that, then you need to know, for example, in this case, if your problem is, I don't really know which one specifically. Like if you're producing the I don't know if that's the sound, okay? Then you have to know how to correct the positioning of your, what we call their articulators, whether it's your, maybe there's something wrong with how you're positioning your tongue against your teeth, or maybe you're opening your mouth, okay? Sometimes, the problem with us Filipinos sometimes is the fact that we don't open our mouths too much. If you try to watch some American movies, for example, don't look at the movie itself, okay? Look at how they open their mouth. Okay, when they open their mouth, they're not really shy in terms of, and if you notice, I also do that. But usually with Filipinos, we're kind of, our mouths also do not open as much. Okay, maybe you have a list. It's still possible, I think. You would just need to know how to. Although I'm not a speech therapist, okay, but we can make the most of it. To a point where those slips will not be as noticeable. Okay. Wait, let's go here. Mami, hindi po ako magaling mag-English. Any tips po? Okay, first tip, think in English. Okay? Sometimes the problem with us Filipinos is we usually tend to translate everything. Like when you hear a question, sometimes you end up think hearing the question in Filipino, and then you think of an answer in Filipino, then you translate it in English, which somehow delays the process. Okay, so one thing that you can do is start thinking in English. Like when you hear an English question, don't think of an answer in Filipino. Think of an answer in English right away. Another tip, I have a lot of tips to be honest. Okay, another tip would be with texting, and I did this when I was starting out at a CSR. Okay, during the basic skills training part, when you text someone, when you PM someone, incorporate the right grammar, right spelling, everything, because it starts with that. Okay, now if they don't understand why are you doing that, tell them because you want to practice good grammar even in texting. Okay, another tip, if it's a vocal part, I think you all have your phones, right? You can make use of your recorder, and I think a lot of you are not really using it as a, or not abusing it yet. Okay, get your phone recorder, read any storybook to your son or to your daughter. Okay, and then from there you would know, okay, I think that didn't sound really well, I have a problem with my vowel sound, or I have a problem with this sound, or whatever. So you'd be able to learn from it. These are simple tips. Another tip would be when you watch a movie, observe how they say things. Okay? Observe how they say things. Don't just watch the movie per se. Like, example, it was a discovery for me that the way you pronounce the word in Tagalog, we in Filipino English, we hear it as mountain, right? Or mount, like the drink, Mountain Dew. Okay? But it was a very refreshing thought for me when I learned that it's not supposed to be pronounced that way, like mountain. Okay, I was thinking, are they kidding me? Are they really saying it that way? So when what I did was I ended up watching some American TV shows, and I actually listened to how are they saying things, and you'll be surprised that some of the things that you will learn in the training are actually true. We just don't know them. Okay. Um, Meron ba age limit for online jobs? Like what I've shared earlier, my son is just 18. He turned 18 last January. He started doing some freelance jobs since he's staying here at home. He has two right now. One almost full time, although it's flexible, and then another one that's more of a photo editing type of job. Okay, so he's 18, so he's relatively young, old enough, I would say, to 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 get paid. And then I've also seen a lot of stories about some who are only 16 years old, but they still end up starting a work from home. And I have an aunt. Okay, I'll reveal. I think it's okay with her if I reveal her age. Anyway, you don't know her. She's already 69 years old, and she's still working from home as a work from home accountant. Okay, so that age range, I think, as long as you want it, there's really no limit, I would say. Okay, it boils down, like what I've said earlier. It boils down to the question: how badly do you want it? Any apps, Mommy Jackie, to practice English? I'm not really familiar with any apps at the moment, but I would say maybe no. No, here's the thing. Maybe Lisa. I don't know any apps at the moment, but I'll try to look up anything and then I'll comment to your comment. Okay. But maybe on a practical side, and this is what something I've also done. A lot of people think that's the reason why my son is good with English. Is that because I was working as a CSR before, as a trainer? But cartoons is a good way to also learn. While your kids are watching, they're entertained. Your goal is not to be entertained with the cartoon, okay? But to learn the English from the cartoon, okay? So maybe not the apps part, but I'm gonna look for some and then I'll comment to your comment, okay? Mommy, what are the sites? Can I apply for the customer service job? There are a lot. These are the common freelancing sites like Online Jobs PH, um, Upwork. You also have Facebook, different Facebook groups. Um, Personally, I only use Upwork, and sometimes I also get it from different Facebook groups. That's the only ones that I have. There's also some in LinkedIn. There's a lot more. But what's this? But let's see. Um Even in LinkedIn now, I've seen some job street. There are also some work from home jobs. So you can also, and it's CSR roles that are home based. Okay. Paano po mag-start as freelancer or freelancing or freelancer, I guess, no? Um, to start off, I would say, let me see. Let's start off with having an inventory of your skills. Okay. Know first what are the skills that you can offer in the virtual world. Okay, next would be just randomly look up for any keywords that are related to those skills, so you would have an idea. Okay, let's say when it comes to customer service, these are the most jobs that I see online, so you can now hone your skills in line with that job. Like in my case, before, when I started out, I tried out because I wanted something that's aligned with my personal beliefs. So in one of my job searches, I searched for Christian. Okay, so that's why I had a job as a ghostwriter for Christian ebooks. Okay, so there's so many things, so many jobs that are out there. You just need to know what is the perfect one for you. I've tried a lot of them, like what I've shared earlier, but I guess my heart really is into training. So even if I'm doing good with like online English teaching, writing, and social media management and everything, but my heart is really into training. So I guess that's why I choose to have my usual corporate job and a freelancing job here in FH Moms. From time to time, I also get what we call fixed projects. So I didn't really go for an hourly job anymore like what I did before, because I still prefer to keep my corporate job, which allows me to still work from home. I only report for work once a week at the moment, which is actually Tuesday. What else? Uh, Thank you for the tips. Yes, I'm very happy to give you what I have. I would always say I was given a chance back then. So it's high time I pay back, right? That's part of being 40. You somehow experience midlife crisis, and you begin to ask, what is my purpose in life? Okay, I might be saying too much. Let me see. Okay. Am I forgetting anything? Let's see. I hope I'm not missing any of your questions. Is it possible, Mami Jackie, to work as CSR even though you don't? Oh yes, if you don't have BPO industry experience, it's still possible. Are you friendly enough? Are you willing to help? Do you have the skill set that you can offer? Then go ahead and try it out. There's no harm. You won't really be losing anything anyway, right? So why don't you try it out? Just like what I did before. Remember when I shared earlier, I started out freelancing more of a stress reliever. Having to report, numbers, figures, and everything to the corporate office before in my other previous corporate job was kind of stressful. So having another job that eats up my time somehow, uh, it started my freelancing journey. I was a CSR before for 2 years, and I'm planning to work at home. I just want to freshen up CSR, and it's really funny for my side because I already forgot how to make opening calls. Uh, Thank you for reminding us this course and spending your time for this free webinar. Eager to have a job from home. That is why I'm okay. I am very much happy too that you took time to be here. Um, I'm not the research type person in terms of I try to jumpstart sometimes and work on it right away. That said, it's okay if you forget it. If that's why I would always say that any skill that you learn would have to require practice. Everything that you do If you practice it all the time, for sure you will be good at it. Okay. What else? I think that's it. Do you have any other questions? See how I'm playing around? Is there a non-voice CSR? Yes. Um, the wait, the first two jobs I've had as a freelancer, those were both commission based. The first one was an email CSR. It was actually a weird job in a way. We were supposed to sell a new social media platform, so we're going to invite different resource persons to sign up, and we do that via email. Okay, and then there's also like chat representatives. Even social media marketing would involve customer service. So like when you answer queries from a social media page, whether it be Facebook or Instagram, those are also customer service related jobs, and they are non-voice. I understand most of you who have worked in the BPO industry, especially for those who have been in a voiced account for some time, some of you would prefer not to be in a voiced account, right? But it's a good starting point, I would say, to be in a voiced account. Eventually, there are more. You just need to be open. Uh, Mommy Jackie, madami pa rin po bang nag-o-offer ng morning shift? With my observation, most companies are looking for night shift CSRs po kasi very seldom for morning sked. Okay, if you want a morning sked, you have to look for Australian accounts or possibly UK accounts. If you end up with a graveyard shift, that's more likely US jobs. Actually, most US jobs would be graveyard shifts. Although I usually stay graveyard and sleep late at night, preferably I don't really like to go for a graveyard job. Okay. So if I were you, maybe a keyword you can put in would be US and UK and Australian voice or CSR if you want a day job. Okay. For sure, it's just that there are more US openings. So I guess that's the reason why you're seeing mostly what's this? Mostly night shift or graveyard shift jobs. Okay. Ma'am Jackie. I actually prefer you call me Jackie too, but I understand if you want to call me Mommy Jackie. My preferred job is bookkeeping. Is there any opening for home base? I am not familiar with some of the bookkeeping jobs altogether, but I know that we have a bookkeeping, accounting, and a bookkeeping course as well. You can learn from there. There are also accounting jobs, like what I mentioned earlier. My aunt, she's really an accountant by profession, by the way, and she's working as a work from home accountant for an Australian client. So yes, there are. There should be openings as well. Um, Anong site pwede maghanap ng mga possible client as a freelancer? There are a lot of them. You have LinkedIn, online jobs, Upwork, even Facebook is a good way to find clients. Another thing I've learned is that, remember I told you need to have an inventory of your skills. So you have to know what are the usual, what are the skills that I can offer. Now, which industries would need those type of skills? Now you have to remember, go back to where the customers are coming from. Where would those types of customers or clients normally hang out? Okay, like maybe forums for techie people if you're a tech person. Okay, for accountant, maybe there's like a accounting site or something where you can land some accounting jobs. That's also a good way. For non-voice CSR, okay lang po ba na walang experience, where and how to start po? Okay, for non-voice CSR, I know that there are some who actually land jobs even without experience. Okay, although my son had no experience as well. I wouldn't say it's really CSR related. It's leads generation. My son's job is more into leads generation at the moment. But that said, my son is only 18, totally no work experience at all, except for the OJT in senior high. Okay, which is totally not related with the job that he has now. So that's it. I think you can also start. I have been working for over 25 years, but would also like to try freelancing. Isn't it too hard to start over again? How do I start? Okay, let me be honest with you. In When I started out, when I got retrenched last 2018, I had a hard time really progressing the freelancing or the work from home. Only because I had a point of reference from my corporate job. I have a pay scale I wanted to meet. Okay. But I think it was part of the whole process for me to identify what was really my niche. My niche is really training. So it helped me identify where am I really good at. Now, it just so happened that with my niche, it's not as common. So you don't really have as much postings, but I know where to find the postings that are related to my job experience. So with your 25 years of experience, I think you need to know first, like what I said earlier, have an inventory of your skills and talents or experiences. Where are those skills? Which industries would you usually need those types of skills? Okay. Now, there may be some birth pains along the way because they're not exactly the same with your regular corporate or day job, but that's all part of the process. Eventually, I think you'll find the perfect fit for you come the right time. Okay? I have been working for in the corporate world since 2003. I would say about, doing the math, about 17 years, 15 years. So, 10-year difference from your experience, Miss Cecil. Okay? Anything else? And I'm an introvert, by the way. So some of you might be surprised. But yes, I'm an introvert. Anything else? I'm having fun, am I? I hope you're having fun too. Okay. No other questions? Are you sure? Oh, and when you said about starting over again, isn't it too hard to start over again? I'd like to think, don't have a mindset of having to start over again. Okay, you can start, build up on what you have now. You just need to know where to find the jobs where you can build on those skills. Okay, so since you don't have as much, oh, just one more question. I think, does it matter po where or what country you are residing if you want to work at home? Home is where your heart is. So whether you're in Japan or whatever, as long as you have all the equipments that you need to have the skills, you can do it anywhere you want. Okay, although there are some clients who are specific, for example, to where you are located. Sorry, I missed one of the questions that was flashed earlier. Is this one? Saan po pwede kumuha ng jobs like that, like for non-voice CSR po? Same, actually, it's the same sites, like online jobs. Sabi ko nga, for me personally, I've been using Upwork mostly in just Facebook groups. Okay, so anyway, I hope you had I really had a good time with all of you. Thank you very much for your wonderful questions. Okay, I'm just playing around with words, but anyway, it was a really really good day of training with you guys. I hope you learned a lot. If you have any questions about the customer service 101 training, you can hit up the admin and get in touch with them. I really am looking forward to imparting whatever I can to you. And hopefully, we learn from each other as well. And with that said, I think that's it for tonight. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you had a great time and have a nice day. God bless you all. Bye.
Every mom has her own struggles. For most stay-at-home moms, aside from the random feeling of insecurity about not bringing home a paycheck, they struggle with never-ending household chores and errands. Working moms, on the other hand, also have an occasional feeling of being not good enough, because even though they can help with the financial needs of the family, their work sometimes hinders them from spending time with their loved ones in return. We are moms like you. We understand all these, but the question is, why choose when you can have both? Be a work-at-home mom and enjoy bonding with your family without compromising your household finances. FH Moms is here to help you jumpstart your work-at-home career. With its fast-growing community of Filipino moms who are either aspiring or already working from home, partnered with its goal to help determined Filipino moms land a home-based job, you'll surely get the help that you need through its tools, guides, and advice readily available for you. Are you ready to work from home like us? We're here to assist you every step of the way. Check the Filipina Home-Based Moms page or join the group for more details. FH Moms. Moving forward, giving back.